Hi all. I'd like to do some C programming videos. Lately I've been laying out all my videos inside of a notepad file, so that gives us something to follow, and that way I don't miss something that I wanted to go over. So before we get started, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Like here's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, 6. Okay, so we'll go over each one of these points as we go through the video. Okay, so all of the files that I use in this video you can download from here, so you don't have to write them all down. That'll save you a lot of typing. I'd rather have you spend time studying the programs than try to type them all out. It does help to type them out because then you learn a little more, but at first I think it might just get in the way. Okay, so first step, let's go ahead and jump right into it, and then we'll work out some of the details as we go through the video. First program, it's usually a hello world program. That's just meant to be the simplest program that you could run. Every language that you learn, like if you get into Java or Visual Basic or C# or something like that, they usually start with a hello world application. And that's just by convention. It's kind of a tradition. It's kind of corny, but it's used as a check to make sure your compiler is working. When you create a C program, the file itself, the text file, the notepad file, has an extension .c for C program. And I'll show you how to create that down in the video. C programs are run from the command line. You know, your DOS screen, the black DOS prompt screen, and we'll go through that too. So, we use a compiler. A compiler is the name of the application that we use to create a C program. We take our text file with the .c extension, run it through the compiler. Okay, that creates the application. So instead of doing it from the command line, you can use a GUI application, you know, something with buttons that you click on and stuff like that. There's one built into Visual Studio, and many other applications will have one. So for now, it doesn't really matter what compiler you use for these applications. I show you how to download and install a free one down in the video. So this here, this would be your simplest C program. Okay, so we'll go ahead and create that. I selected that text, and then I just copy it, and then I went over to a blank folder here. I create a text file, and I'm going to say I'll name it Hello World. You can name these anything you want. And then I'll open that text file, and then I'll paste in the code. Okay, then I'll save it. Okay, now you can see here this is a .text extension, so I'll just delete the text and put in a C, so it's a .c file. And then I get this pop up, are you sure you want to change the file extension? See that .text or the .c, that's the file extension. In case you don't know what the file extensions are, see, whenever you create a file, it has this 3-letter extension at the end. In general, it's thought of as a 3-letter extension. Here I created a Word file, and you can see this one's got a 4-letter extension, docx, doc, doc, that's the Word file extension. And then since 2007 they added the X for XML. So you may not be seeing your file extension. Lots of people leave that turned off. If you go to the View tab and then go to Options, change folder options, and then go to the View tab. Right here it says Hide Extensions for Known File Types. Uncheck that. See, if I check that, see, now you can't see the file extensions. So I wouldn't be able to change that to a .c because I can't see the file extension. On Microsoft Windows, just find folder options. They keep moving it around. I think it used to be just open any folder, and on one of the menus there was something that said folder options, and it brings you right to this box here, this pop-up. So the main thing is just find where your folder options are, and once you find it, it always brings you to this box, this pop-up, even on the older systems. Go to View and then uncheck this guy here, Hide Extensions for Known File Types, and click Apply. So then you'll be able to change it to a .c. Okay, so just to run through the code here real quick. The main thing would be this guy here. This is a function. This is a block of code called a function. Okay, this is the function name. This opens the function. This closes the function. We have one line of code inside our function, and it's a printf. It's going to print to the screen, and it's going to print the text hello world and an exclamation point, and that text has to be in quotes and parentheses and a semicolon at the end. Even if you're missing the semicolon, it won't work. You know, if one of these things is missing, it's not going to work. Okay, and then this guy here, we're just saying, we're telling the compiler, go out and get this file here, studio.h, standard input output.h. .h is a header file, and what that does is it brings in a bunch of items into our program, so this will work. So printf will work. It's just like a stuff that we throw at the top of a program so things work, you know, so you don't have to type out 1,000 lines, you know. They just make it easy, you know, just throw this line at the top of your program and then this stuff will work. We'll go into more detail about that later, but for now that's just a general idea of what's going on there, you know. Okay, so usually when you see books, you'll usually see them like this: C and C++. So in the old days, it was just C programming, and C programming still runs the world. Okay, there's all kind of fancy things going on the internet now, but C programming is still king. Okay, that's something my instructor always said: C is king. Okay, updated C, new and improved C, is C++. Okay, they're kind of the same thing, but they're different. So that's why you'll see straight C books, you'll see straight C++ books, and then you'll see them, where they're and or. There is some overlap, but it's really two different things. So that's why I said, let's do some C programming videos. We're going to concentrate here on just C. Okay. There's a free compiler created by Borland. Borland is one of the big names in the computer business. Microsoft, IBM, Oracle, Borland, Cisco. It's one of the big names. Okay. When you install the Borland compiler, it automatically installs the .NET framework. The .NET framework is a Microsoft thing. It just includes a bunch of files with the compiler, so things like this will work. You don't really have to think about it much. Just click yes, so it installs the .NET framework. Of course, there's more to it, but for right now, you don't have to worry about it. Just click yes when it says to install it. And then, after you install the compiler, you have to go in and set up 2 text files. Okay? And I'll show you how to do that. And then you have to set up the path. I'll show you how to do that later on. And then once we get all that done, then we can run that first program that we went over earlier. I have a previous video I did on what language you should learn. Everybody and their brother has a different opinion. Okay, C is king. There are a lot of other things going on now, so what language you should learn, that's why I did a video on that. I found a few PDFs online. This Kerrigan and Ritchie, they're basically the people that invented C. This is one of the better books on the topic, but usually books by people like that are really hard to follow. So they're good once you know a little bit about the stuff, but right now they might be kind of hard. Here's one, C for Dummies, and I found a link to that online. And my experience is usually the Dummies books are great. I always start there. Whenever I learn a new topic, I start with them. But their C++ books are really tough. Okay? Once you get your feet wet with these videos, then these books will make more sense to you. And then here's another one I found online. It's C Primer Plus. Okay, I put this folder with the C program. I put that on C:. You don't have to do that. It's just a lot easier to navigate to it inside the command line. So let's see. Let's rename this folder to C Programs. And then we don't need these two guys. We only need that one. And just to keep track of these, we'll put this, we'll say 0, 1, and we'll say hello. And then I'll put that file inside there. Next, start up your DOS prompt. On Windows 10, it's in Windows System folder, and it's called Command Prompt. Every version of Windows, they stick it in a different spot. So just look for the Command Prompt. It's the one with the black screen here. It's nice if you understand this stuff a little bit. I think I have a few videos where I go over the basics. You don't need to be a genius at this command line stuff, just a few basic commands to run the programs. As you get into it more, you might want to learn a little more about the command line. That makes it easier to move around. Even though most of the programming now is done inside of a GUI application, GUI, graphical user interface, like Word is a GUI. You got buttons and things like that that you click on. You should still get the hang of how to run these things from the command line, because let's say you happen to get a job somewhere and for some reason the boss wants you to use the command line. Well, then you've got a basic understanding of what's going on. Plus, for our purposes, as we get into the C code, as we get into this stuff here, it's a lot easier to understand these programs doing them through the command line, because we can make them bare bones. It's like, here's a simple feature. I want to show you how something works. And all we need is the code for that one little feature or topic. If we were doing it through a GUI, then we'd have all kind of code just to display the windows and the buttons and the scroll bars and all that stuff too. And it's good once you learn a little bit about this stuff, but I think to get started, I think it's best just to do it with the command line. Okay, so we started up our DOS prompt. Now if we go cd ... that brings us back one folder. See, that's just a folder. Okay, so now we're inside the user folder here. See how this says users? Then we'll go cd ... and that brings us to the bottom level of our hard drive, C:. Okay, that's the bottom level. Now we need to move into this folder here. So we'll go cd change directory, and we'll go C, and we can type this whole word out, but once you type a little bit in, if you just hit the tab key, Windows will recognize the folder name, and then just hit enter. So now you can see we're in that folder. Okay, dir, that just means show me a directory listing of the files in that folder. See, these here, dot just means current folder. Dot is what we use to go back a folder. Okay, if we go here, you can't see dot and dot. Those don't show up here. Then here's our folder. So now we'll go cd into 01. You go dir. So here's our hello world.c. Okay, that's the file we're going to run the compiler on. That's the file we're going to run the compiler on. I'm going to clear the screen here. CLS. So that brings us back to the top. Okay. So now we need to run the compiler. The name of the compiler is BCC32. Okay. And our file name is helloworld.c. So here we're saying run the compiler on helloworld.c. And we'll hit the enter key. Okay? So it ran the compiler, compiled that file. Okay, if we go and look at that now, you can see we used to only have this one file here, helloworld.c. After we ran the compiler, we have all these other files here. The main one is this .exe file. That's the one we're going to run. So we have to run that from the command line. So here we'll just go hello world. We have to take the extension off. We're going to run this guy here, hello world.exe. Okay, and we press enter key, so it runs the program and displays the text. So that text that it printed out here is just this text here. It printed out that text. Okay, so that's the most simplest program. Okay, so I think we'll call her a day there, and feel free to ask questions. You know, setting up the compiler, setting the path, that's tricky stuff. So feel free to write me in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, see ya. Bye.